Hi guys, hope you're doing well. Okay, I am 1 minute early, but just let me know when you sign on. Just say hi or type something below. Put whatever you want, just so I know that there's some folks on who are listening. Also, guys, please always feel free to ask questions. If there's something that I'm saying that doesn't make sense or you're not sure of, just be sure to post that in the comments so that I can try to address it. Hi there, how are you? So that I can address it, as soon as I'm seeing it, and we can kind of talk about it live as we're doing the video. Okay, so today I want to talk about a few different types of fear, and then how to go about identifying what type of fear is going on for you, and really how to figure out how that's impacting your life, right? I know last week we talked a little bit about fear, and really just becoming more aware of when fear is present in your life, and then trying to better understand or pay attention to times when you feel like you're making decisions from a place of fear, and you're not making decisions from a balanced, grounded place, but instead you're making decisions based on this fear, based on this anxiety, or sort of unsettled feeling. And that's actually ending up guiding your choices in your life, right? Guiding your direction. And that can sometimes be a process that happens unconsciously for us, right? It can sometimes be something that happens that we're not even aware of, we're not even paying attention to. So part of what I want to do is try to bring that into your awareness so that you are acknowledging when you're in a place of fear, when you're experiencing fear. And we'll talk about all the different flavors of fear tonight, and then also how to kind of go about identifying what kind of fear it is, and then acknowledging and intentionally making the choice to not make decisions in your life based on the fear that you've just identified that you have. So I'm going to go through the 5 main types of fear, and then I'm going to spend the most time on the last 2 because those are really the ones where I feel like most of us struggle with for the most part. So the first one is a fear of, it's called extinction, a fear of extinction, which basically means death, right? A fear of no longer existing. So we're starting right out heavy, right? We're going in deep with a kind of a big, intense fear first, right? But this is essentially a fear of death, right? So it's that fear that comes up for you when you are standing at the top of a mountain, or the fear if you look down and then you're someone who has a fear of heights and you see a drop, right? It's that fear of something taking away your life, right? Or something unexpected coming and harming you in some way. This is also the one that I sometimes will talk with people about who have a lot of health anxiety. So that often lives in the world of fear around death or fear around significant harm to the body. So people who tend to have really significant health fears and fears around a chronic condition getting worse, or developing a chronic condition, or developing a life-threatening illness, that can really be something that kind of falls into this first category. I know for myself, I struggled a ton with this fear, with really, really significant health fears when I was misdiagnosed. I think some of you guys know this, with 2 life-threatening food allergies, 1 to nuts, all nuts, and then 1 to seafood. So, I was told if anything was even near my plate or touched my plate, that I would die, right? So fear naturally comes up from that. So I had all of these fears around my own life, right? My own health. Was I going to die unexpectedly because I made a mistake or something touched my plate that shouldn't? So then it really spiraled into having a lot of fears around food, and just being worried that I was somehow not going to be cautious enough, or fears of new foods, and just fears of eating. I lost a lot of weight. But really what it boiled down to is that the first fear in the list of 5 fears I'm going to go through, which is a fear around death, right? So if you're someone, I know many of us in this group have chronic illness, chronic health issues, chronic symptoms that we deal with. Is there some level of health anxiety for you that's related to this fear of symptoms increasing or something bad happening to you, or, you know, a lot of that comes up, right? Which is more than we can talk about just during this video, but it's something that you can really work with someone on. There's a lot you can do around that to kind of quell and calm that fear and feel like you're coming at your health from a more balanced, a more peaceful, calm approach. But that's kind of the first one I'll talk about, and more about that at a later date if you guys want to talk about it. But the other one, it's kind of a hard one to describe, but it's like a fear of sort of losing a part of our body or having some sort of injury, losing like the integrity or function of a part of your body. And then also kind of like, this is the one where like bugs, spiders, that kind of stuff kind of plays a role in this packet. It's actually called like a fear of mutilation. I know that's really not a great title, but that I didn't make these up, right? I'm not in charge of that. So the fear of something like invading your boundaries, right? Like fear of like spiders crawling on you or kind of creepy crawly things, like hurting or injuring you or somehow invading your space. All right, so I'm not going to talk a whole lot about that one, but I just wanted you to know it's there as I'm going through the list. So the next one we're going to talk about is this fear of like a loss of autonomy. So this is the fear of being paralyzed, immobilized, like restricted in some way, entrapped, imprisoned, somehow controlled or restricted from circumstances that are outside of your control. So this is the one that I think most classically we think of as like the claustrophobia one, like you're in this restricted space and you can't get out. But in a less concrete example is how this relates to like social relationships or things in our life when we feel sort of like penned in or boxed in, or have something sort of limiting us or controlling us. That kind of falls into this category, which is that like loss of autonomy fear. So think about these, right? The challenge is to think about these fears, figure out which ones are sort of a theme in your life. So as I'm describing them, really keep that in mind, because the last two are really important. I think that there's a lot of fears that, at least when I work with people, we're talking about these types of fears that fall into this last two categories. So really see which ones resonate with you, and be super honest with yourself, right? Like, if you can't be honest with yourself, like who can you be honest with, right? But really, really dig deep and figure out which ones of these like really resonate for you. So the fourth fear is the fear of separation. So this is a really powerful one for people. The fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, a loss of connectedness, of becoming like not wanted or not valued or rejected. Maybe fear of getting like the silent treatment from someone or being sort of just cut off by somebody in your life. This is a really powerful one, right? I know a lot of people struggle with this one, is that fear of being rejected or abandoned, left in some way, especially those early childhood experiences that kind of help set the framework or set the stage and the groundwork for how we see others, how we interact with others, how much we trust them, how much we feel secure around them. So if you're someone that does struggle with fears of rejection, fears of abandonment, even if they're perceived and that hasn't been a part of your history, or even if it has, right? But identifying are those things that you struggle with, or those things that affect you. And when I say making decisions from a place of fear, it's like, are you making decisions in your relationship based on a fear of being rejected or based on a fear of being abandoned? And maybe you're not speaking your truth, or maybe you're not honest about what you need or what you want or what's important to you, because you're making these choices from this place of fear. And in this case, maybe it's a fear of being rejected or abandoned or those pieces. So really think about that fear of sort of being left in some way, right? And being able to, this is just something I'll go into quickly, but being able to have such a firm sense of self, knowing that you are okay, just you, throughout, right? Your life is unfolding exactly how it's supposed to. The people who are in your world are supposed to be in your world. People who are not are not. So appreciating that, and at least some of the things that I like to do with folks is really tapping into that meaning and purpose in your life, that sort of spiritual side, kind of the why are you here? What lessons are you learning from either a series of being abandoned or sort of rejecting type of relationships? What has that taught you? What have you learned from that? And then helping you take those lessons, but then move forward in a different direction. So if those are things that you struggle with, it's so common. It's such a common thing. But I would encourage you to just take a moment and think about, if you don't hear from the person you texted or called for a day, right? Are you having fears of rejection come up, right? Are you having those fears of abandonment? Is it that you're afraid so desperately to get in a fight or get in an argument, I should say, with someone that you care about, whether it's a friend, family member, spouse, partner, because of a fear of being rejected or abandoned or pushed away by them or given the silent treatment, right? And do you have a pattern of seeking out those people in your life, in your world? So really, really think about that. Try to dig in a little bit and do some of the work associated with that. And just check yourself, right? Like, am I making decisions because I'm afraid of something, because I'm afraid of something happening? And how likely is it that that's going to happen, right? Also, just because something has happened once or in your past does not mean you are on a path forever for that, right? Things can change at any moment, at any time, and they do. So the fifth fear that I'm going to talk about is a fear that's called ego death. Weird, again, with the titles. But it's this idea of, so your ego, right, you can think about it in a variety of different ways, but this is sort of meaning like your sense of person, your sense of who you are, your kind of sense of self. And the fears in this one really come around fear of being humiliated, fear of being vulnerable, shame, some sort of like self-disapproval piece that threatens like the integrity of yourself. Somehow saying that you're not lovable or not capable or not worthy. So that's really the fear here. So that fear of like being seen or fear of being vulnerable, those are things that sort of fall into this realm. So sometimes we see these themes, right, where like we'll have a fear of being vulnerable or a fear of being rejected or some other type of fear, and the fear kind of is pervasive, and that you notice it in your career pursuits or in your relationships or in your health or in all different areas of your life. So notice if you feel like, oh my gosh, I have a theme, like it's hard for me to speak up in my relationships because I'm really worried about being vulnerable, or it's super uncomfortable for me, or oh my gosh, it's really difficult for me to speak up and be vulnerable at work, or if I have to speak in front of people, or something where you're seeing a theme happening in your life, right? Where maybe there are certain fears that kind of play a role in your life more so, or they're more strong than others. So really taking note of when those things are happening. Okay, that was a lot. I said a lot of things about fear. So if you're still on, if you are watching, like, let me know if that makes sense to you. Let me know if you have questions. Even if you're watching this video later, just post your questions. Let me know if there's something that you're wondering about or that you have questions about. Okay, so I think that's all I want to say about fear, but it's a big topic, and there's so much that I could say about it. But I think really the take home is to sort of like let these things sink in, think a little bit about them, journal about what fears really resonated with you, like which ones did you get that feeling in the pit of your stomach as I was describing them, like, oh gosh, that's me, I deal with that. Really being honest with yourself and journaling a little bit about where did that fear come from and how can I choose to act differently? How can I choose to make an intentional decision that is not based on fear, that is based in love and kindness and acceptance of myself? And thinking about, what would be the worst thing that would happen if if you felt shame in a particular situation, what would that be like? What would that feel like? Just as an example. Okay, guys, so I want to spend just a couple minutes talking about my exciting announcement that I posted about today. So I just want to take a few minutes to talk about that. So I'm really, really excited about this new course that I am launching. So it's a brand new course. It's called Empowered and Aligned, Creating the Life You Want. So it's really about digging into a few different areas of your life. So digging into your health, digging into your relationships, digging into your career and yourself, right? And doing some of that work to figure out what beliefs and patterns are holding you back from getting the life you want, from taking that next step in your life, from getting unstuck, from getting out of the rut that you may be in. I know often we get into this mindset sometimes where we're sort of just settling for things that come across our path and not really making intentional choices about what we want and designing and creating a life that we love and that we feel good about. And there could often be beliefs that hold us back, fears that hold us back, patterns, right? Things that if we're not addressing, will continue to hold us back, right? Will continue to prevent us from getting to a place that we want to be in those areas of our life. At least that'll be what the program focuses on, right? So are you interested in self-development and being a better version of yourself? Are you interested in improving your health and improving your relationships, whatever kind you're thinking about? In your career, right? These tend to be the main areas that people kind of either get stuck in or they feel like they're frustrated because they can't quite get what they want out of their lives, right? So we'll be doing a lot of journaling, a lot of discussion around identifying some of these beliefs and patterns and better understanding what the things are that are holding you back, right? We will talk about them in a group. You'll see some videos, live videos. Live videos from me, and I'll get to the nuts and bolts in a second, but this is really for women who feel like life got away from them a little bit, right? Maybe they're settling in some areas of their life. Maybe they know that there's some emotional baggage or some things, some beliefs about themselves, about the world, about their relationships, about their future, that they know are limiting them, and that they know that they're making choices based on these things, right? But they haven't taken the steps to really dive in, figure out what those things are, shift that thinking, change what they're doing so that they are getting closer to living a life that they want. So women who are ready to question stuff, right? Question things that they've been told, things that they've been taught, things that they believed about themselves. So that's also who it's for, right? Women who are willing to get a little bit uncomfortable and trying to sort out some of this stuff to see what's on the other side, right? So some of the nuts and bolts will be that it'll be a 5-week program, and we'll start together. We'll work through the lessons together. You can do them on your own pace. I'll have videos posted where I'm going through the different lessons for the week. In 1 week will be health, 1 week will be career, 1 week will be relationships. We'll have a wrap up, and then the first week is like an introduction for what we're going to be talking about in the structure of the course. We'll do some visualizations, some meditations. You can watch the video on your own time. I'll have lots of journaling prompts since I really like that. And then as you're working through the material, we'll have 3 live coaching calls. So I can't remember. I think it's like week 2, 3, and 5. I have to look. But that's your time where everyone who's doing the program together, we all get to see each other. We're on a group call. And we check in. I'll go around and do some individual coaching, but in that group setting where we're talking about what's coming up for you as you're working through this material. What are the things that are holding you back? What are the things that need to be shifted? And then how do we shift them? Where does the work need to happen? And, we'll be focusing on a few things that really resonate for you. If you're like, I'm feeling really good about my career, but my health and my relationships are not where I want them to be, then we'll focus our energy there for you. So this program I'm really excited about because I feel like there's so much that spans those areas. So once you kind of pull the thread on a couple of things, your fears, your limiting beliefs, your beliefs about the world and the future and yourself, some emotional baggage that we're carrying, we see how it spreads across all different domains of your life. So it can be really powerful to make some of those shifts. And also, one of the exciting things is that since this is the first time I'm offering this course, I would love to get some feedback on it. I would love to have whoever's going to enroll in the course give me some information, some feedback, like, how did this go for you? Were there pieces that you felt like were missing? What were your thoughts on it overall? And then being able to provide a testimonial if you had a good experience, if it was positive for you. So because this is sort of the maiden voyage of this particular course for me, it's going to be offered just this one time only as our kickoff version. It'll be $57. So you get 5 weeks of content on health, relationships, career, yourself, an introduction. We'll talk about how to tap into your intuition to figure out what path you want to be on. We'll be talking about limiting beliefs. We'll be addressing the things that hold you back from getting the life you want, some emotional baggage that we may be dragging around behind us. We will use meditations, visualizations. And at the end of this 5 weeks, we will be assessing, did our confidence shift? Did our self-worth shift? Do we feel more empowered? Do we feel like we have a handle on our patterns and our beliefs that are really limiting us or holding us back in different areas? We will have a meditation practice if that's something that you want to develop or create. So, and then we'll have 3 coaching calls. We'll be in a private Facebook group where we can kind of work through some of the prompts. So, this is something I'm really excited about, and I hope that you guys can give me some really good feedback on it, and be honest and let me know your thoughts. So again, this whole thing is $57. That's it, one-time cost. So pretty no-brainer price, I feel like, in exchange for some of the feedback and those pieces. So this is going to be a great promotion because it's just the first time I'm doing it. It's a new thing. We'll work out the kinks together. But I'm really excited. So if I'm going to have a post that goes up in like 20 minutes or half hour or whenever I get myself together, that has a link to a page where you can learn a whole bunch more information about the program, the dates of the calls. You can purchase it right away if you want. And if you have any questions, always feel free to email me at Alyssa, ALYSSA, at dralyssaadams.com. I'll post that too, so that if you guys are like, I'm not sure if this is for me, I have more questions, I want to talk it out, just email me and we can figure that out. Okay, so I hope that the video is helpful. Let me know if you have questions about the program. I'm super, super excited to start it with you guys. So if you're interested, let me know. If you have questions, let me know. And if not, if this doesn't feel like the right time for you, that's cool too. I'll still certainly be available in here and doing videos and working on some stuff in here with you guys. So, all right. Well, I hope you guys have a good night. Bye.